This time we're going to be looking at how to find the equation of a line, or a straight line, given its graph. So we have to try to interpret the graph. Now guys, there's one thing I really want you to remember. It's this form here. The form of a straight line is always given as y equals to gradient x plus the y-intercept. You can sometimes see it as y equals to mx plus b, where m is the gradient and b is the y-intercept. So if we know what the gradient is and we know what the y-intercept is, we can easily find what the equation of the graph is. So let's try it. Starting with question 1, it's asking us to find the equation. Now, let's first start with the gradient. See here, guys, if you make a little triangle that joins up to the graph, you can do this big triangle, but I'm just going to stick to a little triangle here because it looks a little bit easier to work with. So you can see that the running is 1 point to the right. It's running, isn't it? It's running 1 point, and the rise, it goes up by 1 as well. So the gradient, which is rise over run, it's simply 1 over 1, yes, which is 1. So the gradient is 1. Now, remember how our y equals to mx plus b form, the gradient x plus y-intercept? The gradient is 1. So I plotted the 1 in front of the x. I put the 1 in front of the x, which is just 1x, which is x, isn't it? So y equals to x plus. Now we just have to find what the y-intercept is. But this is so easy if you can see the graph, that the intercept of the y-axis and the graph, that point of intersection there, is the y-intercept. The point where the line cuts the y-axis. So it's 1 there, isn't it? So we can see that the y-intercept is 1. Put 1 into the position of the y-intercept. So therefore y equals to x plus 1. That's how you get the equation. Alright guys, so remember that pattern. We'll try another one. Find the equation again. Again, we're going to first find the gradient. So you can see here, guys, if you draw a little triangle, I can say that the rise part is going down. It's going down this way, isn't it? So if I draw, you can go straight down if you like, but then the run will be this way. But because I've stopped there, the run will just be 1 point. Okay, so try and draw smaller triangles if you can. So the rise is going downwards, isn't it? So we can say that it's -2 as the rise, and the run is 1 point in the positive direction, so it's 1. So the gradient is -2 over 1, which is -2. Now, it must be, if you're not sure whether to make it negative or positive, look at the direction of the graph, guys. It's going towards the left, isn't it? It's tending towards the left. It's slanted this way. In that case, it's a negative gradient. Now, a line that's tending towards the right this way, it means it's a positive gradient. So you can also determine it that way if you don't know really what the signs are going to be. Some people tend to get confused with what sign we have to put in front, so you can look at it that way. So we've got the gradient, so we can make the equation of the straight line be y equals to -2x plus the y-intercept. Now what is the y-intercept? We don't know, so we have to look at it from the graph. The point where the graph cuts the y-axis, which is that point there. This point, it cuts the y-axis, which is -1. So we can say the y-intercept is -1. Let's put -1 into the position for the y-intercept like that. So y is -2x minus 1. That's the equation of this straight line. Alright guys, so it needs the gradient and the y-intercept. Now, question 3 is asking us to find the equation of this horizontal line. Now, a straight horizontal line, guys, has a gradient of 0. Yes, the gradient is just 0. So it's going to be 0x, which just eliminates out the x. And the y-intercept is clearly just 2, so we can say it's just y equals to 2. And the reason why it's y equals to 2 is because no matter what x is, on this line, y is just clearly 2. So it's just y equals to 2. So remember guys, for a horizontal line like this, it's always y the subject. Y equals to some constant number. So say for example, if the horizontal line was at -2, it will be y equals to -2. As simple as that. Let's try this one now. What's this equation? It's a vertical line this time. A straight vertical line has an undefined gradient. Yeah? It's an undefined gradient. So we don't have any y's. So x equals to 1 in this case. See how it's a straight vertical line at 1? So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because no matter what y is, x will always be 1. So on any point on this straight line, y can be anything, but x will always just be 1. So remember guys, if it's a vertical straight line, it's going to be having x as a subject. X equals to some constant number.